I'm not. I'm not going anywhere. I need to tell you this stuff, all right? So I see a bunch of young guys, bunch of young jocks, bunch of young college students, and they're in the Winco and the Walmart, and all they're buying is processed food, man. The stuff is crap, all right? I ate most of it most of my life, right? Cooking, basic, not in a restaurant setting, is not that hard to do, okay? It's a jack of all trades things. We need to get a few more guys who can do all the shit again, all right? I can rip apart an engine, I can track. I'm like versed in martial arts. I'm a professional writer. Nobody paid for a song yet, but you're sure using them all over the net. So that must count for something. Look, man, you know, you got to know all these things. Yeah, I'm a little above the curve on the old brain power. But, you know, whenever I train somebody in a kitchen, and I've trained people who've never had kitchen experience before, and I'm training them the same way I'm training you right now. I'm not just talking about what we're doing, I'm talking about all the concepts of food at the same time. And by the end of 2 or 3 days, a person who had never cooked before could run a station in the restaurant that I was working at because I had filled them with so much information. Plus, you always have somebody there if you need to ask another question, right? So we were talking about like processed food. All right, now when I was younger, when I was in my 20s, there was not half or no 25%, 15%, right, of the processed food. So from 85% increase in processed foods. All right, so we have an increase in population by 100 million in a 30-year period. We have an increase in big corn, big soy. I mean, I remember my uncle who ran the farm, right? He's like, corn and soy, man. It's all I can plant. And then I have to wait for the government's stipends and kickbacks. And that's the only way I can keep the land. So he was telling me back, the kids back in the early 70s, he's like, don't go into farming because farming got took over by big corn, big soy, big money. People who want to feed you crap and keep feeding you crap. That's why we're all so fat. You know, I'm watching people on this, you know, Biggest Weight Loss. Why do we have a show called Biggest Weight Loss? Come on, America. And I know Mexico's now #1. But look, man, so yeah, I buy this, and there is processed something in here that I don't want. But I do want the chocolate and the almonds, all right? So it can't be too bad, all right? Milk. Milk comes from cows. It's got GMO corn in it. Butter. All right. You know, we need to really look at all the different aspects. Turn that up. That ain't cooking at all. We need to look at all the different aspects of food and GMOs and being genetically modified corn. Now I did a report on corn, okay? So let's talk about corn for a second. Let's not talk about the two university students who went and found out how much corn was in them, right? I've talked to you about that before. I'm going to talk to you about how corn got started. Now, in ancient times, what corn is a manipulation. Excuse me, I'm getting hot. It's a mutation. It's a mutation of a grass. Okay, corn is of grass, all right? And what happened was instead of the kernels being covered with husks and being on the inside, it somehow reversed. Thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago back in Mayan times. And they found some of the very first ones like this, all right? So what the farmers back then did, which is natural farming, they found the bigger ones and they kept increasing the size of them by finding bigger ones. Well, we know the Mayan Empire was a huge empire, lasted a long time. And so they had an agricultural system that lasted a long time, and they were able to modify the corn up to that big, all right? Now, we genetically modified it to that big and bigger for sorghum, all right? Sorghum is what you feed to, they tried to make beer out of it. It was horrendous. It's what you feed your chickens. It's what you feed your sheep, It's what you jump off the combine into and slide down in the pole barn when your uncle's got a big old pile of sorghum there, right? It's basically hard corn. It's basically base feed, all right? So this is what we're looking at, all right? So if you don't want cancer, if you don't want diabetes, if you don't want to get a cold, if you don't want to get the flu, am I making my point? If you don't want to get all these twisted diseases that are popping up out of nowhere and that we're passing on through our children because somehow this genetic modification continues to build in our system, if we're 94% corn, 94% genetically modified corn, that means we're genetically modified and we're doing some things that is, we're creating a next, whoa, come on, man. Look at the increase of autism. Look at the increase of this childhood stuff that we have, you know. I'm no doctor, I'm no professional on any measure, but I am a professional on good food. I am a professional on understanding what basic food is, and I am pretty good at biology and how basic cell structure works. If you look at the conversation I had on my blog, The Truth of High Fructose Corn Syrup, I touch on it on a couple of different levels, and I blasted it heavier somewhere. I talked about several different people besides Covert Bailey. That means I got a bubble bow again. That means I've been falling that much. Okay. So, a bubble bow. So that's pretty easy. Bubble bow is, what you have is there's a buildup of fluid within a small area around the joint. Right there, there's this like the little sac and that holds the joint fluid and it holds it all tight in there. Okay, now if you keep impacting it, it becomes inflamed and starts pressing outwards, and the only way to push it in is to apply pressure and wear an ACE bandage, and that's why it's called the bubble bow, because some elderly people who fall a lot get them really bad. I mean, to the point where they're like bubbles, right? So what I have is a slight fluid buildup, and I'm going to have to wear this for about 4 weeks. Yeah. Well, anyways, so we're talking about GMOs, and bubble bows. Jamie Foxx and I keep saying it wrong. Michael J. Fox show, man, and the Ghetto Gourmet show. Could you guys get that? That would be just like too much, man. I bet you guys think I'm drunk or high or crazy. I don't know. What one of these can do to me is plenty enough. So I smell my I hear my chicken starting to make noises down there. I'm gonna take a look at it. See that? Oh God! See the fucking oil right there? So, sorry, my language. And no, it's not quite done yet. Oh. Let's give it another. I'm gonna give it another 5 minutes. All right, we're not gonna talk that whole 5 minutes about GMOs and all that, but I want you to think. All right, really want you to think about eating base foods. All right. Yeah, that means that you're gonna have to learn to start your starch first, because it takes 20 minutes when you get home if you're hungry, or you're gonna have to make larger batches of food. But your larger batches of food are gonna be awesome. Okay. Check out any of my soups, make them into stews, man. Put more stuff into them, man. Put anything into stuff, you know. But just work along the palate guidelines that I put out. I talked about acids in the beans and in taste and flavor and BLT concepts. I got it too tight. Concepts in taste and flavor. I haven't been punching a bag or anything, man. My arms are starting to get really, 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 really bad. All right, so so you can get the concepts I'm throwing out. I didn't bubble blow my left arm before, it was my right. I don't know how I'm going to deal with this. Because I have to wear this to get it to press in. Alright. I'm going to come back when the chicken done.